What is going on, New York Giant fans? Welcome back to another Big Blue in the Bronx YouTube channel video. Hit the like button, comment, and subscribe. Turn on post notifications so you know when a live stream pops or video drops. Appreciate all coming back. Share this out. Also, give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. And if you haven't already, if you're going to a ball game, if you're going to a tailgate, need a parking pass, or a concert, use the promo code $20, promo code Big Blue in the Bronx to get $20 off on SeatGeek. So, let's get into the video. And there was a report that came out today about the Giants coaching staff. I want to evaluate it in a lot of different ways, and we'll go at the end and have our final thoughts. But let's start off. So Tony Pauline wrote an article today, and he mentioned a lot of different things about a lot of different teams, Brandon Staley, Bill Belichick, all these different things. And one of the little segments he put in the article was New York Giants' Brian Daboll on the hot seat. Now, I will read the full thing just to give you guys a little glimpse of what he was saying. Really the whole thing, to be honest, because it's only like 3 paragraphs. But we pretty much know as Giant fans, Brian Daboll probably going to come back. Joe Schoen probably going to come back. So he writes, few expected the Giants' season to turn out as it has, especially after a terrific performance last year when they surprisingly made the playoffs. The Giants have suffered from injuries and terrible play on the offensive line. Hence, there is expected talk of the head coach and general manager getting axed. I'm told it won't happen. After firing Joe Judge in 2021, CEO and team president John Mara said he was looking for continuity in the front office and head coaching positions. Firing general manager Joe Schoen and head coach Brian Daboll in year 2 goes against that strategy, especially considering the team made the playoffs in 2022, as previously mentioned. So, again, stuff we already know. Brian Daboll, Joe Schoen expected to be retained, and rightfully so. Here is where the purpose of the video comes in, folks. What is expected is the release of assistant coaches and the coordinators. Few expect defensive coordinator Wink Martindale or offensive coordinator Mike Kafka to be retained. People from Kafka's team confide in me that they don't expect the former college quarterback to survive. So let's break this down. We'll talk about Mike Kafka first. Kafka, let's go back to 2022. Offense, achievements, rankings, all that. So he comes in with Daniel Jones. They declined the option, and Daniel Jones improved. Now, was it a drastic improvement? No, but it was improved in ways that Giant fans had little hope that he would actually continue this progress under Brian Daboll and Mike Kafka. He had 5 more passing TDs than in 2021, and this is all in comparison. 2 less interceptions, the lowest interception ratio, or I should say percentage, of his career, 410 more rushing yards, 5 more rushing touchdowns, and 780 more passing yards. Saquon Barkley had over 1,000 yards since 2019. Didn't have it in 21 because he was still coming back and also had an ankle sprain for 3 games. And in 2020, he tore his ACL. So you have that. And there was a lot of different moving pieces besides Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley. A rotating offensive line where you had Josh Azudu come in, you had Nick Gates come in at the guard position. You also had Ben Bredesen. Evan Neal was injured a little bit and he was struggling as a rookie. And there were just moving pieces on that offensive line that were good and bad, other than Andrew Thomas, who obviously is an elite all-pro left tackle in this league. You also had a bullshit receiving core. We didn't have the receiving core we have now, and even now it's not the greatest in the world. Darius Slayton, Wan'Dale Robinson tore his ACL probably midway through the season. David Sills, there's some other guys. Richie James is another one to throw in there. So we had a pretty shitty receiving core. Also Marcus Johnson. And then when Isaiah Hodgins came in, the offense looked a little bit better. But you have that. And also a positive note, other than the bullshit receiving core, is you did see the emergence of that safety blanket known as Daniel Bellinger. Not many people expected him to have the impact that he had, but I'm happy for it. And obviously he's not doing well right now because the passing offense sucks balls. And he's the only legitimate tight end that the Giants have. So in their rankings, let's go to 2021, where it was Jason Garrett / Freddie Kitchens. 31st in total offense, 31st in passing offense, 24th in rushing offense, and 31st in points. You compare that to 2022, where the Giants were 18th in total offense, 26th in passing offense, 4th in rushing offense, and 16th in points. So a tremendous improvement. Obviously, you would love the passing game stuff to go up in 2022, but nonetheless, Giants fans were looking towards the future. Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, all these different things, and the way the offense could improve, and the team made the playoffs. So let's go to 2023. I was considering going to Wink 2022 first, but I'm like, let me just get Kafka over with. So 3 different quarterbacks and the regression of Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones, 2 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Not to mention he had the neck injury and then comes back and tears his ACL, which obviously is not a good thing, and he's out for the season. Just Tommy DeVito can't run an offense, or they're not letting him run the offense, which defenses know what's coming now. And also, besides Tyrod Taylor being a part of that too, the thing is, they started, meaning the NFL, they started figuring out what the Giants were doing. These play-action bootlegs and relying on the run and all these different things. The NFL started figuring that out, all these different teams. Lack of a functioning rushing attack. Saquon Barkley isn't doing well in the rushing category right now. Now, obviously, he was out for a few games after that Arizona game. He's at 568 yards. So it's kind of possible that he could still get to 1,000, but it would be very much a measly 1,000 yards. But the rushing attack is just not consistent, and it doesn't really help out in the way that the Giants' offense needs that boost, because Saquon Barkley rushed for 128 yards against the Jets. What happened? The Giants only scored 10 points. So that's what I'm talking about when it doesn't equate to what the Giants actually need in terms of offense production. Darren Waller, he was not playing up to par as many expected. I think that's because of quarterback play, and he started turning it on a little bit before his hamstring injury, and now he is done for a few games. Wonder if he's going to come back this year. And also, one of the biggest things, many different O-line combinations. The Giants, I believe, have allowed the most sacks in the NFL. Andrew Thomas was out for a few games. Evan Neal not stepping up. Mark Lewinsky being terrible and then being benched. JMS, rookie struggles here and there. Ben Bredesen being out of the lineup. Josh Azudu on IR. There's so many mixed things to throw in the lineup. Justin Pugh coming in. Shane Lemieux on IR. So there was a lot of moving pieces. Marcus McKeithen, he's not very good. So I'm not excusing Kafka from this offense being terrible. There are times where he's made some boneheaded decisions play calling wise, but you have to see that there is a lot of different variables to why the offense is not working. Now let's switch over to the defense. Wink Martindale, defensive achievements, stuff like that. Let's go to 2022. Let's go to stats first and then achievements and surrounding variables. So we look at Patrick Graham's defense in 2021. They were 21st in total defense, 15th against the pass, 25th against the run, and 23rd in points allowed. They were 18th in blitz percentage, 30th in pressure percentage, 24th in sacks, and 14th in turnovers accumulated, that being fumble recoveries and, of course, interceptions. So Wink takes over the defense, first in blitz percentage, 6th in pressure percentage, 13th in sack percentage, 25th in turnovers accumulated. And then you look at the total stats, 25th in total defense, 13th in pass defense, 27th in rushing defense, 18th in points. So what was he dealing with? What were the variables, positive and negative? Well, Dexter Lawrence came alive, 7.5 sacks in 2022, a Pro Bowl nomination, and second-team All-Pro. You had the loss of Adoree Jackson for a few games after the Giants decided it was a great idea to put him as the punt returner. So there's that. Xavier McKinney, you lost him due to his stupidity. ATV, sightseeing tour, accident, all that different stuff. He was out the second half of the year, which left Jason Pinnock and Dane Belton to regulate the safety duties along with Julian Love. Not very good inside linebacker play. The Giants released Blake Martinez at the beginning of the season. They brought in Austin Calitro. They take Crowder, and it was rotating for a few weeks to where Jalen Smith was brought in, and he was taking over a majority of reps. Tate Crowder was pushed out of there, And you still had Micah McFadden and Darian Beavers coming in. Well, actually, no, not Darian Beavers, because Darian Beavers was out in the preseason. But you had Micah McFadden still rotating in, and he was getting more playing time down the stretch. But Tay Crowder was being phased out, and the Giants eventually released him. And, he was very happy about that, but that's a whole different conversation to be had. Then they brought in Jarrad Davis as extra insurance. That didn't really go well, and that didn't bind well with the fact that the Giants didn't have very good backup defensive line play. You had Dexter Lawrence, you had Leonard Williams. Behind him, you had Justin Ellis, you had Vernon Butler, you had Henry Mondo, you had some other cats. DJ Davidson was in the first 5 games, then out for the season. So you had rotating backup defensive linemen that were just getting ambushed on run plays, and that didn't help as the Giants were 27th in run defense. But considering the fact that Nick McLeod, Darnay Holmes, Cordell Flott, Zion Gilbert, and Fabian Moreau were the corners for a good portion of the year, I would say the defense overachieved. And they were a big portion as to why the Giants made the playoffs. Not to mention Saquon Barkley and a couple other variables. So 2023. Let's look at stats. 27th in total defense, 21st in passing defense, 24th in run defense, and 29th in points. Second in blitz percentage, 19th in pressure percentage, 31st in sacks, 26th in turnovers accumulated. What are the variables that we have gone through this year? 2 rookie cornerbacks, starting with Adoree Jackson in the slot. So the Giants didn't get a proper slot corner. Obviously, that stuff would be figured out later on. But Adoree to the slot, you had Trey Hawkins on the outside paired with a guy in Deonte Banks. Now, Banks has had an up-and-down season. Trey Hawkins has not been good. Let's be completely transparent with ourselves. The linebackers not getting it going till week 5. There was horrible linebacking play the first, 4 weeks of the season. The Giants couldn't stop the run. They still have trouble stopping the run. But Micah McFadden and Bobby Okereke, as of late, they've been playing really well, despite the defensive line, the backup defensive lineman not playing well. And that kind of goes to my next point, which is Leonard Williams being dealt. Leonard Williams had more sacks, I think, this year than he did last year and all that sort of good stuff. But he was traded in October. Actually, was it October? I think it was on Halloween, actually. Yeah, he was traded on Halloween. And with that said, the Giants, they suffered the next 2 games it was in the running game. A'Shawn Robinson, DJ Davidson getting more reps. They still haven't played Jordan Riley a lot. Also, to note, Azeez Ojulari being out for a bunch of games. And it looks like Tibbs is going to be out this week, so it's just going to be Ojulari and Boogie Basham and Jihad Ward. But you don't have guys rushing the passer that you can really rely on. So it's all sorts of that different stuff. And not to mention, you have the drama of Xavier McKinney opening his fucking mouth. Constantly complaining, oh yeah, the leaders are not being heard. We're not going to blame the defense this time around. Like, opening his mouth for absolutely zero reason. And to move forward with that, I'm going to go to the final thoughts. Will they be gone and should they be gone? So Tony Pauline is like 50-50 on these reports. There were some reports that he's gotten right. For instance, the one about the Jets getting Aaron Rodgers. I know that was more of a Trey Wingo thing. But there's some other reports that he's gotten wrong. That JSN would be the Jets' pick at 13. There was a couple other ones that he got wrong. I think he was one of the ones who originally reported that Andrew Norwell was a New York Giant or going to be a New York Giant back in 2018. That didn't pan out. He ended up going to the Jaguars. So, in terms of that, I personally wouldn't buy it that both of these coordinators are going to be out. First off, I don't think Wink Martindale should be out. I think there's some things he's definitely messed up this season. However, I don't think it's good enough to be a reason for him to go. Because who would you promote as defensive coordinator? You could promote Jerome Henderson, but also as well, it's like, what's Jerome Henderson's scheme going to be? Who's on the outside that you're looking at? Leslie Frazier, who hasn't coached in a year, since last year? That's what you got to think about. And as far as Mike Kafka goes, right, I think that there's a better shot of him being let go for a few reasons. I think that he could be a scapegoat. I think that Brian Dable taking over the plays in some games and having that play sheet in front of him kind of gives the vibes that Dable doesn't have the 100% of, confidence in Mike Kafka. And not to mention, what's a bigger story is Ken Dorsey. Ken Dorsey was the quarterback coach when Dable was the OC over in Buffalo. Would they possibly say, hey, Ken Dorsey, because he just got fired, you can come over and we're going to have a rookie quarterback and basically start new? I would personally give Kafka a chance, but I would also welcome Ken Dorsey in, because if you're drafting a rookie quarterback, it's not going to matter, oh, this guy's going through his fifth system or whatever. Nobody cares about that. No one's going to care about that. But I think what the Giants need to focus on, and I said this, the Giants need to go out there and they need to change some coaching, some coaching staff members. Bobby Johnson, T-Mac, some other guys that you want to fiddle in there. But I personally don't have too many bones to pick with Kafka. But again, we'll see. Appreciate you guys. Like, comment, subscribe, do all the good stuff. Turn on post notifications so you know when a live stream pops or drops. Appreciate coming back. Do you think the coordinators will be fired? Should they be fired? Let me know in the comments. Appreciate you guys. Talk to you soon.